So, welcome everybody. My name is Jim Pizzey. I'm the technical director at HBXL, and I'm one of the developers on EstimatorXpress. And I am here today to talk you through the changes within EstimatorXpress 2024, which you may have seen some of but haven't heard about. So, yeah, I'm going to go through I'm going to go through this sample job that I've added all the estimating calculators to that are either new or we've made changes to. Otherwise I'd forget which ones to use. So I'm gonna work my way through the job, and I will talk you through the changes or the additions. As lots of you have found, we have a questions option within the software that's used for the webinar. So please do send questions in as I'm going along if I'm not being clear, or if you have any questions about what I'm showing you, or features that you're hoping for that aren't there, or calculators that you're hoping for that we haven't done yet. Please do send those in. I will answer any that I can, and then anything that's too tricky, I can look into and get back to you on. So yeah, please do use that feature. Okay, so once again with audio, I will start going through the changes for EstimatorXpress 2024. Okay, so the first section in the resource specification. If I just go into that, there we've added some more roof tiling mini specs. So top option not required is new, and that just takes out all of the roof tiling materials and labour. So if you're using a different type of roof covering rather than tiles or slates, then you can set that to not required, and you can price up for your spoke roof covering however you choose to do that. But yeah, so that's in there for other types of systems that we don't cover within the software. And the other options are, there are 4 different slate mini specs that we've added. Fibre cement 600 by 300 and a natural 600 by 300, both for new build and extensions. So yeah, those options are now available within EstimatorXpress 2024. Okay, so within the walls, and this kind of covers all of the wall estimating calculators that have a wizard that look like this, with all the drop downs, so that you can change the specifications with lots of different options. So the cavity external walls, the solid external walls, and then all of the cavity and solid skin internal walls. So anything that was released with we called our universal wall estimating calculators. And that's with regards to the internal finishes, and when you're installing with battens. Let me just do that search again. Okay, so you'll notice that we've duplicated everything up so that we can give options for masonry fixed battens and timber fixed battens, because there was I think it was probably only timber fixed battens before. So we've added the masonry options with the correct fixings for those. Okay, and then there have been some other tweaks to usage rates within the walls based on user feedback. I don't know the exact details of what they all were, but yeah, there have been a few other minor changes within that. Onto floors, we've got a few different changes within the floors. So within the suspended floors, let's start with that. And if I just go into the resource wizard, you'll see that there are these 3 new options of putting in struts to the floor. So these are in as sundry items. So we've got struts to 400 mil, joist centers 450 and 600. And if you need to use those, you can come in and just set the quantity that you need to allow for. So I can enter a quantity in for my floor and click OK, and that's gonna put those in. Okay, so I'll close that down. Also, there's been a change to the beam and block floor estimating calculator. So if I pick one of those, and again, it's for there are various different beam and block floor calculators. We've got one for new build, one for extensions or renovations, and one for sort of universal beam and block floor. So an any shaped one rather than a rectangular one. And again, if I go into the resource wizard here, and that's fine. So we've added perimeter insulation to all of those. So that's in a standard. If you say that you're insulating, it will now add perimeter insulation. So that was an omission before, but that's now been added in. Okay, and then floor screed. So we've added in a vapor barrier to the floor screed calculator. So that's going to be included with any time you use the floor screed calculator now. Okie doke. So that's it for the tweaks within floors. I'm going to go down to internal doors and talk to you about fire doors for a couple of minutes. So you can see here I've added one of the existing fire doors. So we've always had select fire door and fire door to existing wall. We've updated those calculators to be specifically for 30-minute fire doors, and then we've added additionals for 60-minute fire doors, both in single and, if I scroll further down, to the double fire doors. So, excuse me, I'll just go into this. So this is the existing one, and there are a few more options within the wizard. So there's an option for an intumescent strip. I never know whether I pronounce that right. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Show how. And a deadlock and fire door signage. And they're the 3 new options on the dimensions side. If I go into the resources, pretty much all of the items on this page, we've tidied up the resource description just so that you know this is an FD30 fire jet. So some are updated descriptions of existing products, some are new products. So we've got fire rated hinges, FD30, the doors obviously, and then the deadlock is a new option that's been added. The fire rated door handle set, and the latch pack, the latch pads, the hinge pads, both new options, I believe, and the fire door signage. So yeah, they're the tweaks to the existing fire doors, and then it's exactly the same process as you're used to for selecting one of the new FD60 fire doors, but let's go through it. So we've got 5 different sizes to choose from. So I can pick one of those, and then the normal options of how you're going to, what sort of lintel you need. So I'll take a single steel lintel, and I'm happy with the one that it's suggesting. and I can enter the number in and say, is it to a cavity wall or a solid wall? So I'm going to pick the solid wall option, and that's going to be the same options that we've just looked at. So yeah, other than the few new options on that first page, the rest, the plastering pad zones, threshold details, these are all as you're used to, and the decoration requirements. Okay, so I'll just select a wall for that to be in. Otherwise, it will get unhappy with me when I try and navigate away from the quote template. So yeah, that tweaks to all the fire door options, and new options in for 60-minute fire doors. So that's the changes within the internal door section. Okay, so onto rooms. So if I go, I've added one room, one bathroom, and we have two new calculators there, which are complete room removal of wall tiles, and complete room wall tiling. So if I go into the removal of the wall tiles first. Okay, so it's so we had, I believe we had removal of wall tiles and we had wall tiling, but it was more aimed at, you know, an area of tiling around the bath. So we had a few people that needed to do wanted to regularly tile full rooms, and wanted within when they use this room editor for it to automatically fill in the dimensions. And the calculator that we had before wasn't really suitable for that, because it was aimed at only a small area. So this is very much aimed at doing an entire room. So to remind you, or maybe you've not cottoned onto the color coding, but the green cells are things that are automatically being filled in based on the dimensions of the room. So if I just scroll back up a sec, so this is an L-shaped bathroom, and I've got two openings within it. I've got an internal door and I've got a window. So the length of the walls, the height of the walls, and the dimensions and number of openings will all be used and filled in automatically into those green cells. So let's go back into my removal of wall tiles. So yeah, so we've got the 2.4 meters. That's the total length of walls around my L, and then if there was any other areas, it would fill those in. The untiled area of wall, this is defaulting to 1.4 meters. So that is an allowance for not tiling behind a bath. So if you're tiling a room that doesn't have a bath, you can obviously zero that out. But that's why it's in there at 1.4 meters, which confused me when I first looked at it. So, and then it asks whether opening reveals are tiled, thickness of grout, bulking factors, and any plant requirements to remove the tiles. And then the other pages, I believe, are all just going through filling in the opening detail. So this is our one internal door. That is our one window, and then haven't got any external doors or structural openings within this particular room. So they are all zeroed out. Okay, and then similarly to tile a room, so we've removed them. Now we can tile it. So very similar inputs. So automatically filled in the height and the length. Area to remain untiled, again that 1.4 meters, and again our opening reveals to be tiled, and do you need to seal the walls prior to tiling? Number of corners requiring angle beads. On this optional page, we've got about tile borders. So is there a high tile border, and is that above or below the door height, to know whether to subtract the width of doors, and then a low border, and whether that runs at a window height, and then whether you need to fit skirting tiles. And then similarly to the last, it's automatically filling in the internal doors and the windows and the external doors and the structural openings. And finally, some tiling details to help with the calculations. So whether you need any to allow for any trims and sealant, and then the tile dimensions and the additional adhesive and grout allowances are a tile cutter. And on this page, it talks about whether you need any feature tiles and the dimensions of those, and then the dimensions of the borders and the skirting tiles, if you're using those. Okay, so that is that's the changes within the tiling or removal of tiling of a room. Okay, so in the structural beams and post section, we now have the option of a flitch beam. So if I go into the dimensions wizard, so it's set up for if it's being installed over an opening. So you can enter the width of the opening and then the lintel bearing. If you're not installing it in that way and you just want to enter a length, you can obviously just zero out the bearing. At the moment, it's going to do 5 meters plus 0.1 at either end, so it will do a 5.2. But yeah, you can just zero out that and enter the total length of the beam that you require. And then it's asking how many timbers and steel plates are required for the beam. Allowance for nuts and bolts. You need pad stones and bricks required at each end, and slates for packing. And then you've got the labour allowances and any plant requirements on page 2. If I go into the resource wizard, we have I just wanted to show you that the steel plate, so by default it's in as 180 by 10 mil. But we've obviously got lots of different options in there, so you can change that as required, and obviously the size of the timber as well. So that's how you use the flitch beam. Okay, I'll just got to catch up on a few questions that have come through. So somebody was asking about the fire and smoke for the FD30S, the FD60S fire doors. I'm going to have to defer that question to my colleague Andy, who creates the data for the calculators, and see if we need to add those in as a different option, or whether options need to be added to deal with the smoke side. So yeah, I will have to get back to you to answer that question. so somebody was asking about the tile sizes in the bathroom. So let's just go back into the rooms. So the actual, I don't know exactly when you sent that question in, but at the end, so it's obviously asking for the tile sizes, and then it's a case of going into the resource wizard and making sure that you've got a suitable price for the tiles. So yeah, we've got an allowance per square meter as the tile. So it's not gonna give you the actual product and quantity of tiles that you need to purchase. But I suppose it is more flexible in that it's allowing £20 per square meter, and it will allow that whatever size tile you've got. So yeah, that's how it does ask you on the inputs about tile size so that it can get the quantity of grout correct. And it uses a somewhat generic resource, which you can obviously add in. You can use the new resource button to add in the specific tile and select that and set the usage factor correctly. Okay. Right, so I will carry on. So that's so we did the flitch beam. So in walling sundries, we've got wind posts, and I'll quickly show you. So you've got an allowance per meter for the wind post for fixing plates and cleats for the wall ties and the time fitted, and then you can enter at the top the number of wind posts required. So that's a brand new calculator. Within renovation demolition, we've got quite a few new items to look through. So brickwork repair initially. So the first page, so it's that there are several different brickwork repair tasks all within one calculator. So we did have there is already a repointing brickwork calculator. So this effectively duplicates, but it has other options within it too. So this first page is about repointing a wall, with the details of the size of the bricks and the mortar allowance. But the second page is all new options. So we've got the area of brickwork area to be cut out and replaced. So you can enter in a height and width and another area. Number if you've got individual bricks that you need to cut out and replace rather than a whole area, you can enter those in. It'll allow to do those individually. And then crack stitching. So you enter the height of brickwork cracks to be stitched and the vertical spacing of the crack stitching and whether you're going to repoint those. So they are all new options and paths that you can now estimate for. Okie doke. So floor demolition is the next estimating calculator. So this will deal with demolition of a slab or a suspended floor. So the first page is on the slab. So you've got the width and length and other areas of the slab. You've got the approximate concrete thickness, and then any sub-base to be excavated, thickness to allow for that. And then is everything that you remove going to be removed from site, and the bulking factor for that slab spoil. And then on the second page, it's about suspended floor. So whether that's a timber suspended floor or a beam block floor, there are dimensional templates for each. So I think here I selected the removal of the beam block floor when I set this out, but similarly there are options for a slab or a timber suspended floor. So these dimensions are going to be related to a beam block floor. So again, you've got the width, length, and the other areas, the thickness of the floor, whether the debris is going to be removed from site, and the bulking factor. And then on the last page, I've got 2 days of a breaker, wheelbarrow and shovel. So if I'd have picked a timber suspended floor, I wouldn't have got 2 days of a breaker. So that's one of the differences. But yeah, any other plant requirements, you can make allowances for that. Okay, so on to joinery demolition next. So a few different joinery demolition tasks that you can allow for. So if you're removing stairs, you can enter the dimensions in for that. And then we've got doors. So dimensions of the door, number of doors, and windows. And then any bulking factor and whether all of that is to be removed from site. So yeah, that's your joinery demolition. Removal of floor screed as a new calculator again. So it's pretty simple and self-explanatory to use. The dimensions of the area, the thickness, and then requirements for plant. Okay. So we've got a couple of retrofit insulation calculators that we've added. So the first one being loft insulation. So let's go and have a look at that. So we've got I picked a template for flat ceiling, but you can there's also a template for whether it's the vaulted ceiling with your insulated rafters. So if you're doing the rafters, you've obviously got let's just so the width of rafter insulation. So as per the arrows, that would be both sides. So the total length both sides required, and then the length of the roof section, and then any other areas of insulation. And then similarly with the flat ceiling, the width, the length, and any other areas. And the second page is about pipe lagging, water tank lagging, and the time to do that, and then any new roof ventilators that you need to install, and the time allowance for fitting those. So you've got eaves, tile, and ridge vents there. Okay, and then onto the retrofit timber floor insulation. So again, you've got the overall dimensions of the floor area, and then any openings, thickness of floor to be removed to install the insulation, and whether you are indeed lifting the floorboards, and whether you're going to relay those existing boards, or whether you need to price for installing new floorboards. And there are dimensional templates here for either quilted or board insulation. So this one was the board insulation, so it's got a yes for rigid board insulation being used. And then our support patterns required. It's breathe membrane, vapor barrier, the percentage increase for the breather membrane vapor barrier. And then is perimeter floor sealant required, and any additional lengths, rolls of membrane, joint tape, and additional time for taping. And then finally is if you're lifting the floorboards and disposing and not replacing them, sorry, do you need to dispose of those from site? And if so, what's the bulking factor of that spoil? And any plant requirements there. Okay, so that's the retrofit timber floor insulation, and the last one within this section, within the renovation and demolition, is roof demolition. And I'd love to show you that, but my mouse seems to have stopped working, which is very useful. Let me just see if I can bring that back to life. Okay, so my mouse has officially died, so I'll have to use the touchpad. So it might be a little bit slower for me to move around now, but we'll make it work. So the roof demolition. So there are different types of roof that you might need to demolish. So first page is for roof demolition, and this is the one that I selected when I set this up. So you enter the dimensions of the roof, so width, length, any other area. Is the roof structure to be removed, yes or no? Are tiles to be saved for reuse, yes or no? And then the thicknesses of the tile area and the structure, and the pitch of the roof. So that's for pitch roof demolition. Then you've got flat ceiling demolition separately. So again, into the dimensions of the ceiling and the approximate thickness of what it is that you're removing. Page 3 is for demolishing glazed roofs. So again, the dimension of what it is that you're removing, the pitch and the thickness. Then there's a page for demolishing flat roofs. So yeah, similar questions, like overall dimension of the roof, thicknesses of the different sections of the roof, and whether you're removing the structure or not. And then finally, plant requirements. So the bulking factor of the spoil, number of days for a breaker, wheelbarrow, shovel, and any other plant. Okay. So in the electric section, there's one new calculator been added. And this is for a fire alarm system. So we've got the whether you need a 2 or a 4 zone mains fire alarm panel, sounders, pull points, emergency lighting bulkheads. The heat and smoke detectors, we do have smoke detectors in some other estimating calculators, but there are a few more options in here with the combination smoke and heat, the rate of rise detectors, and then so I think in other calculators we do standard heat and smoke detectors. But yeah, they're just all pulled together in one place in this calculator. And then the labour allowance for commissioning the system. And then on this page, you've got the number of trees, length of main supply cable, trunking, and then the length of the system cable required for each of the components that you're pricing up. Okay. So into the drainage and services section. So one small tweak in the drain run calculator, and that's we've added one input for the time for breaking into existing manholes. This is something that we have an in-house estimating service. This is something that they requested. They said that they were forever having to make allowances for breaking into an existing manhole, and so we've added an option in, because I'm sure that if they need to do it, then you do too. So that's yeah, it's added in there. And then there is a radon sump system. So this is for a passive radon sump system. I understand that, particularly if you're in the southwest, it's very common that to do an extension, you're required from building control to install a radon sump system. But if it's required in the future, if radon levels get too high, so this will allow you to price for that, and then it can be converted into an active system as required at a later date. So the number of sumps, length of pipe work to vent it is a radon air brink required. How many service pipe colours are needed, and then the length of protection tape and the labour allowance to tape all the joints. Okay, there have been a couple of questions come in whilst I've been going through that. Let's just I'll just pick those off before we carry on. So somebody's asked about the demolition calculators. So is waste removal included, or does that have to be added separately? Yes, I believe. Well, let's go and double check. I'm fairly sure that the waste disposal is included within those. So let's have a look at the resources for the roof one, for example. Actually, I'm going to go and look at the list of resources. So it'll be easier than clicking through all of those. So yeah, so that's got a skip in there, and it's so from everything that we estimated, we've got 16 cubic meters. So yes, the waste disposal is being included in those. That's kind of why it's asking for the thickness of things, so and the bulking factor of the spoil, so that it can calculate the space required for disposal of that waste. Okay, there's one other question talking about whether we have anything available for estimating things like a summer house. We don't have any. We don't have anything specific, any specific template set up for a summer house or garden room, that type of thing. We have most of the calculators that you could use to do it. But I suppose there are some sort of depending on what sort of foundations you're doing and so on. There are some systems that we don't have covered. But yeah, there have been several people asked for a specific sort of garden room template, quote template. So that's something that's on the list to do in the future. I'm afraid it's not in this version though. Okay, one other question about chimney removal out of a house. Do we do chimney removal? I'm trying to think. I'm sure that I've seen that in one of the new calculators, but it hasn't been any of the ones that we've gone through. So I'm beginning to have a slight panic that there's one that I've forgotten to add onto my list. Certainly let's just go into to add the others. I believe in let's see if I can find it. I'm trying to think what it's called. There's a I think internal stripping out might have something. Let's have a quick look in that. There's a fireplace and chimney breast. So yeah, if it's the chimney breast that the question's regarding, then that's an internal stripping out. If it's the actual chimney stack, I can't think off the top of my head where it is. I could sworn that it was in somewhere. Maybe one of the other users will come to my aid and send in the answer as to where that is. I can't think off the top of my head where it is. Okay. So in preliminaries and sundries, there's one new calculator for fire protection consumables. So fire blankets, different types of extinguishers, and emergency ladders. So you can now make allowance for that if you're doing flats, something like that would require them. And then a very small addition to the sundry plant calculator. Let's see, on the last page here, we've got the option for a plasterboard skip that wasn't in the software before. So that is now in there. Okay, and that takes us to the end of the changes to estimating calculators. So yeah, quite a few new ones and tweaks. All of our sort of renovation side of things, renovation retrofit. That's really been the focus of this update. So that now I just want to show you a few different additional features within the software. So the first of them is in the assumptions and emissions. I think it was in the launch of EstimatorXpress 2023. We added in a libraries for them. So people were saying, I always make the same assumptions, job to job, or whenever they want a swimming pool, that's an emission because I don't know how to price swimming pools, or piling, I emit that and price for it separately or something. So we added in libraries of assumptions and emissions, so that anything that comes up time and time again, you can write it once and then you can just pick it from the library. So we've done a similar thing now with provisional sums. So the same option. So you have the option of going into a library, adding in a provisional sum to the library, and then that will be available for all future jobs. So, I mean, the cost probably won't be the same job to job, but the type of things that you allow for provisional sums, and so the descriptions and the build phase, for example, will probably be the same job to job. So you can set those up in a library and save yourself typing them out each time. Okay, and the other sections the other big change is in the quotes. So you'll see there is a new quote type that's within the software now, but I'm just going to go into the existing one, so the quote for the main estimate. When you first go there, I'm waiting to see if it does come up. Oh, it didn't. Maybe it's because it's not the first time I've been here. But there should be a dialogue pop up. Oh dear, this is working well. Right, let me see if it comes up when I go to the new schedule of works one. No, I'm gonna come back to the new dialogue because yeah, I'll start a new job in a minute, and I will show you that there is actually a new dialogue that comes up. So yeah, I'll come back to that one. So this is the new quote. So it uses a lot of the similar starting pages to the old. So these are shared. So this is more of a schedule of works. Oh. Sorry, trying to without a mouse, trying to work out how to zoom in. So yeah, this is a schedule of work style quote. So all of the when you first install EstimatorXpress 2024, you will have to sit and watch it downloading and updating an awful lot of estimating calculators. So there are over 700 in the system now, so it's going to download updates for all of those 700 calculators, and that's because each one has had all of the resources have now been grouped together into these work items, rates, whatever you want to call them, so that we have a description and then prices of materials, labour, plant, other. So let's go down and look at some of these examples. So carry out floor demolition, including removing the suspended floor. So labour cost of 358, plant cost of 478, total 837. So it works through. Yeah. So instead of individual resource lines, as the other quote has, this groups things together and gives you the material, labour, plant, subcontract, sundry prices. So let me go down to the let's pick something like roof tiling. So there are different levels of detail that you can choose. So let me just scroll down. So there is this option at the bottom, and this is actually what I wanted to show you in the new dialogue, which I will come back to. But so there are some key options to decide how much detail you want to show. So if I'll pick the first option. So this is what we're calling a detailed description with key resources. So, and again, let me see if I can zoom in, because I'm sure you can't read that. Okay. So, so we've got a description of fixed lead flashing to 6.51 meters of gable abutment, resources to include, that's the specification of the lead, and then apply roof covering to 27.71 square meters. And we've got the felt and the various tiles and the dry ridge and dry verge systems being used. So that is a detailed rate description with key resources. If I just go back to that setting, so the next one I can do is a detailed work item description without key resources. So that's going to keep the description the same. So that description having the detailed part is really saying it's going to have some dimensions in it. So it's going to tell you it's 6.5 meters of lead flashing, that it's 27.7 square meters of roof covering. So that option turns off the key resources, or we can have the simplified work item description with or without key resources. So let's just change it to that. So instead of telling us, I can scroll in. Here we go. Right, so instead of telling us the length of lead flashing, it's just saying fix lead flashing to cable abutment and apply roof covering. And then the very simplified version, which I think was where we started, was the simplified work item description without key resources. So that is just showing fixed lead flashing to gable abutment and apply roof covering, and then with the breakdowns of the different columns. So yeah, there different levels of detail, but yeah, hopefully, and lots of people have asked for this style of output in the past. So it's it and we it required a lot of work to go through all of our data and group things sensibly, and in doing so there were lots of little issues to fix going through. So you know, you came across the odd thing where the material and the labour weren't in the same build phase. So there are lots of minor data issues that have been fixed. You know, nothing that would have changed the price, but some things were filed in the wrong build phases. So yeah, all of the existing estimating calculators have been updated to be able to provide this type of output now. If you do this within an existing job, it's going to mostly be there. But as I was just saying, because some build phases have changed, those changes would not be being applied to any existing job. So that will only be new jobs. So you may find the odd line where it says additional resources in this build phase or additional tasks in this build phase to include, and then listing a few items that were not in the correct phase. But yeah, you'll be able to produce a document with the existing. It will be should be 100% perfect for new jobs moving forwards. So if you don't like the color styling, we've added 5 different styles for you to choose from. So you can have different colored tables. So you can pick one that you prefer. That's a nice green one. Or you can I've not pressed this button before, but you can manage your own styles. So yeah, maybe I won't go into that for the first time in front of you all. But yes, I believe you can set up your own set up your own styles, so you can choose your own colors and so on. Okay, and the one other setting that I wanted to show you, so is So by default, it's combining the subcontract and sundry columns into this other. So if I untick that and press apply, you'll then get material, labour, plant, subcontract, and sundry columns. So yeah, whichever way you prefer to do it. So let me now, as promised, come out of this job. I'll go into a new one and hopefully be able to show you this new dialogue. So I'll just quickly create a new job. And I'll pick one with a quote template so that it starts up filled with data, or filled with some data. Okay, so right. Hey, there it is. Okay, so yeah, when you first go to a quote, if you'd forgotten to go to the build program, which obviously I haven't been there yet, it's gonna give you the warning to say you need to produce a build program, otherwise the build phases aren't going to be in a sensible order. But then this main setting, which has always been available in the settings, but it's just really bringing it out, because I'm sure that not everybody goes digging around in the settings and understands what on earth they are. So the quote has always given you these three options. Do you want a quote by build phase? Do you want a quote by estimating calculator? Or do you want a quote by location? And it's just how it, on the breakdown on the left-hand side, it's how it, yeah, whether you've got, so these are the headings for the by build phase, or if I were to select estimating calculator, I'll click OK in a sec, and you'll see that it changes how what the different section headings are. And also there's an option here for whether if you're doing a labour only quote. So you may have priced it by default with all the materials, but if you need to produce just a labour only quote, you can do that, and it will just include the labour side of things. So if I click OK, so you'll see then it's now breaking it down by the brick and block wall, the floor screed to extensions, the extension slab, the apex roof, so that they are the different estimating calculators. And if you ever want to change your mind, they are in the main settings at the top there. So if you want to change it to have a look to see what location is, you can do that. Everything's in my apex roof single store extension section. So I haven't really got a lot in the job yet. Or you can change it back to build phase. So yeah, when you first go to a quote in a new job, you'll get a dialogue coming up. So this is the better way of me having described those four options, because it has an example here. So I'll maybe I'll just try again. So yeah, so detail being it's going to have some dimensions in. Not every description will have a dimension in. Only the ones that seemed relevant to have one in. So install insulation floorboards to 80 square meters of attic floor, and then specifying the floorboards and the insulation. So I could turn on or off the resources, and then I can remove the dimension, and it would just say install insulation floorboards to attic floor. So yeah, they're the examples of the different schedule of works descriptions. Okay. And somebody has reminded me that I missed one of the estimating calculators, being probably the main one that we've changed. So I'm going to go back into the quote template and show you that. Thank you very much, Gordon. So let's go and look at the windows. Okay, so the Windows options are drastically changed. So we've removed pretty much all the options that were there before, other than a shop window, and it's been replaced with select window or select window to existing wall. So that top one is a window to a new wall or a window to an existing wall. So if you ever need to get back to the old calculators, it's possible to do that within EstimatorXpress options. And if I go into jobs, I think I'm guessing right. Here we go. Yeah. So there's an option here, show legacy wall, door, window, and structural opening estimating calculators when using a quote template. So yeah, over the past 2 versions of EstimatorXpress or so, we've been retiring older versions of estimating calculators and replacing them with newer versions. So as not to confuse or confuse less new users, we've been hiding the old ones and just showing you the new ones. But for those of you who are used to using the ones that you're used to using, there's an option to turn them back on. But yeah, so that's where the option is. You can turn it on, go away from this screen and come back again, and you'll have all the options that you're used to seeing in there. But I've got 3 options, and I'm going to pick a window. Okay, so new windows. This is yeah, it's a big change to what we currently have. So within the software, we've obviously we've had a relationship with the supplier Crystal Direct for many years. So we've had thousands of their PVC windows in, but lots of people were saying, well, it's almost the window I need, but it's not quite the right dimensions, or there's a style of windows that I need that isn't in the catalogue, or they've got the window that I need, but I need it in aluminium. So what we've done is we've tried to give an extremely flexible window estimating calculator that will allow you to do lots of different styles of windows and enter in the dimensions of the window that you require, and then for us to suggest a good estimating figure allowance for that specification of window. So let's look at the options. So we've got casement windows or sliding sash. So I'll stick with casement. So there are 11 different window styles. I'm going to use the word. So these are all the so in discussion with Crystal Direct, they said this covers 95% of all the windows that anybody ever orders, or maybe 99%. So we initially show you those as options because they're probably going to be the ones that you want. There is a show all option at the bottom, and that will then increase this list to a load of other shapes. So as you scroll down, you'll see, yeah, you probably don't fit too many of those. So yeah, you start off by picking the style of window that you need. So let's go with this one. Okay, and then on page 2, on the main screen here, we've got all the different options for openings. So find the one that you want and select it. So let's do a left and right opening, for example. On the left-hand side, it's asking you for the opening width. So I'm going to say I want a 1275. By the way, so you can type in the dimension that you want. Also, in the drop down, we have got suggested dimensions based on brick sizes. So if it's going into a brick wall, your brickie would probably appreciate it if you got windows that worked well with the brickwork. So we're giving you some tools to help you pick those standard size windows. So they're there as an option, or as I say, and as I initially did, you can type in the height or width. So again, you can pick from the drop down, or you can enter one in. So because I picked something a bit off the scale, it's saying, right, so these three are saying the maximum frame height for these style of window is 1400. So it's going to allow you to do more, but it isn't going to give you a recommended cost, because it is just outside of the scale of what we say we can sensibly give you a suggested cost for. So you can set it to a different height, or you can, if you say no, that's the height I need, then you can just enter the cost in yourself. Is it double glazed or triple glazed? So what U value are you going for? And what is the fitting tolerance in millimeters? At the bottom here, you've got various different color options. So I could the color that I want. This next page. So now that you've selected everything, you can double check all of the details. So it's using the opening dimensions and the tolerance you selected. This is the size of the actual window that it's suggesting you require. You can confirm the glass, the color, and the price. So if I just reset that back to the recommended price. So please note at the bottom, the prices quoted in EstimatorXpress are indicative, cannot be guaranteed, and should not be relied upon as purchasable. Prices are for estimating purposes only. So we have done the very best that we can to create an algorithm so that whatever style you pick and openings and colors, we are giving you a sensible estimating price. But please don't rely on that as being something you can buy it for. We are not guaranteeing that price in any way to you. Every caveat that I can possibly say, we are trying to help you with estimating. We are not, if you don't do your own research, if you trust that price and it turns out not to be that price, please don't come crying to us, because we are not telling you that you can definitely get it for that. Please be aware that this is a bespoke window. We encourage you to check the price, double check the price, and make sure you are covered for your estimate. Okay, so you can edit the cost yourself. You can edit the description yourself. So none of these, because we're effectively making this window up, where then they don't live in your price book. We are about to add it into the price book. So you can very much edit these details before you add it in. There's an option here to save this window configuration. So if you don't want to go through all the steps and you say, this is a standard window I use, I'm always adding in aluminium windows in this color of this size. You can save that to the library, and then next time you come in, you can pick from your saved windows. After that, it goes through. So these steps are going to be very similar to what you've seen before. You haven't seen them in Windows, but these are the kind of steps that have been in the door calculator. So the fire doors that we were looking at earlier, these had these options. So you've got all different options for lintels, whether it's a combination lintel, one or two loose steel with a plate, one or two concrete lintels, one or two steel lintels, or no support over the top of the window. So I will go with a combination lintel, and it will select a suitable length of lintel based on the window that I've got. So you can select that, or you can make changes. I'm going to go with that, and then different options for cavity closers, and then how many windows you've got. So click OK, and that's then added that product in with the description that you set up, with the price that you said, yes, this is how much I want to allow. And if I go back in, so yeah, I maybe didn't focus on the materials. So PVC, aluminium clad softwood, hardwood, aluminium clad PVC. And as you probably noticed, the different options are changing based on what I've selected. So yeah, not all styles are available in all materials. So there's logic in there as to what is sensible in different materials and what isn't. So yeah, a lot of work's got into that. Really hope that it helps you to get more accurate estimates of exactly the windows in the right materials that you require. So thank you again for reminding me of the I didn't show you one of the most important new features. Okay. Right. So somebody asked whether you can name the windows such as kitchen, living room, bedroom, etc. So let's think. So this. So you could, depending what you mean by name the window, you obviously got the opportunity to name the window product, and I believe it's that if it's this name you're looking at changing to be relevant. I'm just trying to think where that name flows through from. I believe that's the worksheet name. Let's just try naming it and we'll see. So if I call it kitchen window, let's see if this then updates here. Yes, okay. So yeah, yes, you can edit the name of the actual product that I showed you in the calculator, and that will flow all the way through to the quote. So if you want the customer on their document to see kitchen window rather than seeing the dimensions of the window, what it's made of, and the U value, which is our standard, you can absolutely name that kitchen window. Yeah, that could well be much simpler for them. If it was a question of from the estimating perspective, so that you know which ones you've allowed for, then yes, you can, after you place it, you can go and you can rename the worksheets, and that will flow back through to this screen. And also that worksheet name is again additional information that goes through and to the quote. So yeah, hopefully between those two things, that's that's answered that question. Somebody was saying that when they looked at the windows, it was giving them dollar signs rather than pound signs. Okay, so within EstimatorXpress options, there's an option for a currency symbol. So it should be defaulted to using the computers. I obviously use an @ sign for testing. So you can enter in your own currency symbol. So you could try. So if your computer's set up in dollars, which I think a lot of computers sometimes do come with a US setup, so you can either work out how to. It's probably best if you check your computer settings to set that up to be properly UK, so that nothing else is defaulting to dollars. So you could, that would be my first suggestion. Make sure your computer's set to the right currency by default. Secondly, you could untick that and you could enter in a pound here. Unfortunately, I'm using a US computer, so I could only enter in a dollar, so that wouldn't help. So yeah, they would be my two suggestions. If neither of those gets you pound on every screen, then please contact support and we will look into it, because it's always possible that there's something else playing a part. But hopefully one of those two settings will sort it for you. Somebody's asked whether we have any glass walls, glass balustrade, and glass canopies. I'm afraid we don't at the moment. Sorry about that. In the jobs tab on the dashboard, how do you change the job name? Okay, let's see about that. So I believe there are a couple of ways of doing it. If I'm guessing this right. Is it in here? No. Maybe I've got that wrong. Okay, so let's try again. Let's go back to that jobs tab. Just save this job. Okay, so if you want to rename one of the jobs, so there's an edit button on the job details tab on the right here. So this will change the job name, the job description, the job number. So hopefully that is where you wanted to. Yeah, hopefully that will be the renaming that you're after. The only other sort of name is obviously the name of the file. So when you first save it, it gives it a default name. You can change that in the normal way that you change any files, but you will then, if you do change the name of the file, if I went to open this job after I changed the file, it would say can't find it. You'd then need to, you could then delete that entry. And at the top here, I'm using the little symbol when there's a big button here. There's an import job button here, so you can then re-import it. So if it's the file, rename it in File Explorer, delete the existing, re-import it with the new name. If it's and it's probably more likely you're referring to this Apex Roof single story extension option, and in which case, come to this screen, find that jobs detail. So it's possible that when you come here, depending on the setup, it might be hidden. So you should have a tab on the right there. You can open it up with, and then you can press that edit button and adjust the details here. Okay, hopefully that's answered that question. Right. Hopefully I've answered everybody's questions, and hopefully there isn't anything else I forgot to show you. So thank you very much for your time. Sorry that's overrun. Due to having too much to show you and due to sound issues at the start. So thank you very much. And for being a customer of HVXL and for using the software and for your time this evening. So I'll be putting on another webinar or two about the 2024 software, I believe. There's one booked in to go through how the integration between EstimatorXpress and Build Projects, which is our new project management website. So that one if you haven't already been emailed about that, you'll be hearing about that soon. And then there will likely be a Plans Express 2024 webinar as well, where hopefully I will not forget to show you the windows, because that again is one of the biggest features in there. So yeah, I will leave it at that, and take care and speak to you soon. Bye bye.